So this is the fairing, the belly pan that I've bought for my K75, and it was got for me by Frank Smith of the K-Bikes Purist Facebook group. And thanks to Frank, I gave a donation to their charity for it. So I'm hoping I'm going to radicalise my bike with it. Right, it's starting to emerge from its cocoon, and I can see that a bit's been broken off. That looks like that's just happened in transit, but it's that corner. And there isn't one on the other side, so I might not actually need that. I can always fiberglass it back on, that's not a big job. So it's got the official BMW dirt in the bottom of it. There it is, upside down. Looks like it's seen some action. Probably most of those scratches are from where it's been thrown about in the garage. It's got a big deep gouge out of it there, but I can just smooth that down. Now the point of having this is to keep all the dirt off the underside of the bike. Now I don't ride a pristine museum piece. I ride a bike that gets a lot of use in all weathers. So I'm not actually that bothered that it's a bit scratched. It doesn't make any difference to me. In the future, when I retire, I shall completely refinish the bike and then it will be a museum piece. It is surprisingly heavy. I mean, that's a real thick moulding. This needs cleaning and repainting. Otherwise, that's all looking pretty good. And the thing is, I've now got to figure out how to fit it to the bike. I've completed a repair with some more fiberglass, and I've put hammerite into it, which makes it black. So hopefully that'll go off. Slows the setting time. In the meantime, I've taken out the screen, the mesh grille, and I've painted that with hammerite too. And the easiest way to do that is with a toothbrush. That gives a really good coverage. So I'll leave that overnight as well. I've now got to figure out how to make some attachments to put it on the bike. Now, if it had had its fitting kit, it would have a plastic bracket that comes underneath here with two half circles in it that the rubber bungs here slide into, and then here at the back near the stand there's another plastic bracket with a tongue that comes forward to go down into the slot in the back of it. Now of course I haven't got that. I'm using a piece of cardboard as a template to design a bracket that just sits on the front of the engine, and then I'm going to use a wooden plate that then can come outwards over those two bungs, and I can just screw it on with wood screws without having to do a lot of complicated measuring up. I'm using galvanised strapping to make the bracket. This has the advantage that it's easy to cut, it's galvanised, it's easy to bend, it's really strong, it lasts forever. This is the same stuff as holds my timber frame building to the ground. Well, I'm now on bracket number 2. For some reason I managed to make bracket number 1 too short. The offset was too short. I've had an amazing bit of luck though. I've found these speed fasteners that exactly fit. The only thing is they're so old, I think they might be American fine, but I've worked out that I can drive a self-tapping screw through those. The bracket for the rear of the pan I've cut out of an old piece of plastic, and this comes from one of those children's put up wardrobes, and this was the base. I've cut it up. This is a prototype. On this side it's not quite lined up. I think that probably this locating point should line up with that blank there, and certainly this should be lining up and not that far out. So this has got to go forward just a little bit. Now I've got plenty of flexibility in my steel bracket, so I should be able to just ease that into the correct position. Because this metal is quite flexible, but once you've bent it, it stays in place, it's pretty good for making these brackets. What I'm worried about though is my agricultural welding splitting when I bend that up like that. That's about as far as I need to go, to be honest. And that should have sorted that out. Getting the other part to move forward is more difficult. That's the finished bracket. It's quite complicated because of the odd shape of the fixing points. I've actually had to cut keyholes in all the location points in order to be able to adjust it to get it exactly in the right place. It needs to be quite flat. It also needs to be designed so that the rubber bungs sit in exactly the right place. I finally managed to get the belly pan to sit exactly where it should, and that took a lot of adjustment, a lot of moving around, and it taught me that I need to have oversized holes on virtually everything. But I'm very happy with the fit now. It looks exactly like it should. I've put the grid back on, which matches the one to the top fairing. The only thing that might be cause concern is that it is very close to these screws. It doesn't touch that one, but it more or less touches that one, so that might rattle. Time to give it a test ride and see how well it performs. The bike hasn't been run for a long while, so it's smoking rather badly. It's just running up. It's been going for about a minute now. I've been able to go all over the fairing and feel that it's not chattering, it's not vibrating. So I think it's time to actually take it out on the road. The test ride was successful. Gave me a chance to check a few other things like the play in the back brake and whether or not my new clutch boot was leaking, which it's not. And I'm very pleased with that. It looks really cool.